Hyundai Motor India's shares fell over 7% in their market debut on Tuesday. A tepid start to trading after raising $3.3 billion in the country's biggest ever initial public offering. Shares traded as low as $21.67 after they were priced at $23.31, giving the company a valuation of $17.6 billion. Hyundai, India's second biggest car maker, was targeting a valuation of $19 billion. Its record IPO was oversubscribed more than twofold last week. But pricing concerns deterred retail investors who worried they would not be able to make gains on the listing. Shares of Indian rivals have also slipped in recent weeks. Car sales have slowed after 2 years of record highs, with customers delaying purchases on worries about stubborn inflation. Tuesday's listing in Mumbai is Hyundai's first debut outside its home market of South Korea. It comes at a time when India's equity markets have risen sharply. Hyundai faces competition from domestic rivals Tata Motors and Mahindra & Mahindra. It plans to use proceeds from its sale of a 17.5% stake in the Indian unit to invest in research and launch new products.
I think Vice President Harris supports a future for this country where these freedoms and many others will be protected and upheld. And here to tell you much more about that, President Barack Obama.
I gotta say, I have done a lot of rallies, so I don't usually get nervous. But I was feeling some kind of way following Eminem. And I noticed my palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, vomit on my sweater already, mom's spaghetti. I'm nervous, but on the surface I look calm and ready to drop bombs, but I keep on forgetting.
These buildings in Mexico's Acapulco were damaged in Hurricane Otis nearly a year ago, when the city was taken by surprise by a weak tropical storm that suddenly became a powerful hurricane. Winds from the Category 5 storm reached nearly 165 miles per hour. Dozens of people were killed in the Acapulco metropolitan area. Entrepreneur Joaquin Salgado says residents are still struggling.
We are still living with the impact. We have not overcome it economically or psychologically. It has had quite an impact on us. Acapulco, as everyone knows, was pretty much devastated. Everyone had losses.
According to the Guerrero state government, over 220,000 homes were damaged. Mexico's president at the time announced a $3.4 billion recovery plan for the city, only a fraction of the nearly $16 billion in total damages estimated by business groups. Current President Claudia Sheinbaum said in early October that a rescue plan for Acapulco includes clearing rivers and ditches to avoid further damage in the event of heavy rain. Compounding the disaster for the city and Guerrero state was Hurricane John in September. Local media says at least 18 people were killed when the storm hit, many due to landslides that crushed homes. Salgado, the entrepreneur, says something needs to change.
But in order to prevent so much disaster from happening, I think the population has to do its part. We have built where we should not have, in constant danger. People have not thought of the consequences of what could happen.
And then we will see whether North Korea is indeed or not supporting Russia's illegal war in Ukraine.
The head of NATO on Tuesday warned that the transfer of North Korean troops to fight for Russia in Ukraine would be what he called a significant escalation.
If they would be sending troops to Ukraine, that would mark a significant escalation. That would really be important.
Secretary General Mark Rutte was in Estonia for meetings with NATO members. and said he didn't yet have confirmation Pyongyang had deployed soldiers to assist Moscow's fight. It's the latest warning that North Korea may soon step directly or indirectly into the conflict on the side of Russia. Here's the UK Defence Minister speaking in Parliament on Tuesday.
It is now highly likely that the transfer of hundreds of combat troops from North Korea to Russia has begun.
The Kremlin on Monday declined to directly answer a question on whether North Korean troops were going to fight in Ukraine. A Kremlin spokesman said Moscow's cooperation with Pyongyang was not directed against third countries. It's been more than 2 years since Russian forces stormed into Ukraine in what Moscow called a special military operation. But tenacious defenders armed with Western weaponry drove back the initial onslaught, and what appeared intended to be a quick conquest turned into a long and bloody war. Moscow has been forced to supplement its military with new conscripts to sustain the fight. The latest reports suggest it may now be looking beyond its own borders for soldiers. South Korea's spy agency said last week that North Korea had shipped 1,500 Special Forces troops to Russia's Far East for training at military bases, and that they were likely to be deployed for combat in Ukraine. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused Pyongyang of preparing to send as many as 12,000 soldiers to Russia.
In its failure to overthrow Ukraine's democratically elected government, Russia is seeking to expand the conflict.
The U.S. Deputy Envoy to the United Nations told the Security Council on Monday it had seen reports that North Korean soldiers could soon join the fight.
If true, this marks a dangerous and highly concerning development.
The notion of North Korean soldiers fighting a Russian war on European soil prompted this response from the president of Finland.
Well, I think we're just seeing how desperate Russia is. I mean, pose the question to anyone in the world, would you like to have North Korean soldiers fighting on your side? And the answer is probably no.
South Korea's Deputy National Security Advisor said on Tuesday that Seoul would consider countermeasures, which could mean directly supplying lethal weapons to Kiev in response to closer military ties between Russia and North Korea.
Shares of General Motors surged nearly 10% on Tuesday to a 2.5-year high, driven by strong third-quarter results. Resilient consumer demand for its trucks and SUVs, even in the face of high interest rates, led the automaker to once again boost its 2024 profit forecast and predict even stronger demand next year as financing rates fall. One sore spot remains China, where GM has taken a backseat to competitors, particularly when it comes to electric vehicles, as Chinese rivals pump out more affordable models. The automaker posted another quarterly loss in the region amid plans to restructure its operations there. GM stock is up 36% this year, outpacing Jeep owner Stellantis, whose sales have dropped, and Ford, which has struggled with costly quality control issues.